What's going on YouTube? This is Unger to the Max here. It is about 7:20 on Wednesday, April 4th, 2018, or in military time, 1920. So earlier, I gave you a list of upcoming UFC pay-per-view events, but I'm making a couple updates to that. So, this Saturday is UFC 223. The main event for that will be for the 155-pound lightweight championship. In other words, Conor McGregor is being stripped of the title. It will be between Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was originally scheduled to face Tony Ferguson and is the number 2 lightweight contender in the world, and he will be taking on the featherweight champion, the 145-pound division champion, Max Holloway, in the main event. And in the co-main event, it's a rematch of UFC 217, one of the 3 title fights. It is the strawweight championship, when Thug Rose Namajunas takes on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Okay, so that's UFC 223. UFC 224, that will be in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The main event will be for the women's bantamweight belt between the champion Amanda Nunes and the number 2 ranked Raquel Pennington. And I just found this out today. The main event of UFC 225 in Chicago, Illinois at the United Center will be for the middleweight championship between the champion Robert Whittaker against the interim champion Yoel Romero, round 2, because this will be a rematch of UFC 213 when Whittaker won. So, and the reason Whittaker is the champion is because even though GSP, George St. Pierre, won the match against Michael Bisping in the main event of UFC 217 for the middleweight championship, he vacated the title because he decided he didn't want to hold up the division and he didn't know if he could constantly get to middleweight. So, and he, like I said, he didn't want to hold up the division. So he said that, so he decided to vacate the belt. And then UFC 226, Cleveland's own heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic will try and defend his title for the 4th time against the light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier. These 2 fighters are also the coaches for the UFC's series, the Ultimate Fighter, where it's 2 teams. In this case, it'll be Team Miocic against Team Cormier, and the winner gets a UFC contract. But interestingly, the last time the Ultimate Fighter happened, it was Team Eddie Alvarez against Team Justin Gaethje, and it was for a brand new division. It was for the women's flyweight championship, 125 pounds. And that was before UFC 218. Nico Montano won that. So we'll see when she defends her belt next. But anyway, so I got a little sidetracked. Oh yeah, and UFC 227, and I just saw this. TJ Dillashaw said he would not give an immediate rematch to Cody Garbrandt. But it looks like that is what is going to happen. Because I just saw a report from ESPN saying that a bantamweight championship rematch between the champion TJ Dillashaw, who just beat Cody Garbrandt in the co-main event of UFC 217, will face Cody Garbrandt in a rematch in the main event of UFC 227. So, I'm not sure when that's going to be or where that's going to be, but that's your updated UFC. And I have no idea what's going to happen with UFC 228, or UFC 229, or UFC 230. I still can't believe we're already at UFC 223. It's fantastic. So that's your updated UFC pay-per-view schedule. I hope you guys like. I hope everyone watches this UFC fight pay-per-view on Saturday. It's going to be spectacular. Dana White actually said that this is going to be the biggest pay-per-view UFC event since UFC 205, when it was the first time UFC came to Madison Square Garden, and it was Eddie Alvarez against Conor McGregor. And I bet UFC 214 would have been a big pay-per-view, but it later came out, but it was later determined that John Jones had taken substances that are not allowed. So he got stripped and that whole ordeal. But anyway, that's your updated UFC schedule. So UFC 223, let me repeat it one more time. UFC 223, Khabib versus Holloway, Namajunas against Jędrzejczyk. UFC 224, Nunes versus Pennington. UFC 225, Whitaker versus Romero 2. UFC 226, Miocic versus Cormier. And UFC 227, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt 2. So there's your updated UFC pay-per-view schedule. And be on the lookout, because tonight at 8 o'clock, I will be doing a live stream for both the Celtics at Raptors game and the Blackhawks at Blues game. So be on the lookout for both of those. So until then, I will see you guys soon. But this is Unger to the Max, signing off. Salute.